Skyward.
Harness the power of the sun. SkywardSolarPower.com.
So we've gone through the full stream of the primary components of a system, from the mounting systems to the different types of collectors, the modules, panels, to the heart of the system, the inverters. Let's look at how this affects a consideration financially. Well, today there are very strong incentives that are available to a company and a business to take advantage of. And here we have a hypothetical created. So we have a system that's 100 kW, 100 kilowatt size system, that's its nameplate size system. It's going to generate approximately 117,000 kilowatt hours per year. And our array footprint, we may need 8,000 square feet to accommodate 456 modules for the system. And then this system may cost you $480,000. Well, sure, that's a big upfront chunk of money. But when you start applying the various incentives, things dramatically change in the financial equation. So if we factor in, first of all, our federal tax credit. Before I get into that, your company is paying taxes. And it's paying federal taxes, it's paying state taxes. And one way of looking at this is that is your tax liability. You can pay those taxes and walk away and lose that money, or the feds are saying, and the state is saying, take that tax liability and reinvest it into your company with a solar system and not lose that money. So here's what is available. We've got a 30% federal tax credit, a 35% state tax credit. We piggyback those two together. You're not going to get 65%, but realistically you can get up to 50%. This is factored back in on the state tax credit because one is viewed as taxable income. And then you can apply you can apply your accelerated depreciation over 5 years and state depreciation as well. Combining all of these various opportunities to the total cost of the system can knock out as much as 80% of the initial upfront cost. Now think about how you've invested that money. That money is the company's money going to the federal government or the state government as tax liability, or you're putting it back into the company in a system that will generate power for decades. It's adding value to your company, appreciable value to your company. Electric utility rates are just going to continue to climb. They're not going to go down. And there is a marketing advantage to this. Being green now is the thing with many corporations and companies. And demonstrating how you are green, no better way to do that visually than with a solar system. So it's a great marketing opportunity, and you can make a lot of hay out of marketing your solar system with your collateral materials, with your grand opening, with photos of with your array, sending out informational pieces to your customers and letting them know, look, we're walking the talk. We are going green, and these are our efforts. So there's a lot of value there.
All of that incentive stuff is tax credit. Aren't there also incentives for power companies?
That's a great question, Hap. And yes, there are. And it all depends on the power company. For instance, if any of you have facilities that are under Progress Energy. Progress Energy has the SunSense program. And in the SunSense program, there's a great benefit to the company, to the business, in that you will sell all of the power that your system generates for 18 cents a kilowatt hour. So in that regard, you are getting paid double than what you are paying for the power. So that's a great incentive. And they allow systems as big as 500 kilowatts under their commercial sun sensor program. With Duke Energy, the options are not so great. What they will give you from Duke is a cost avoidance credit. So under the Duke program, you'll get about 6 cents per kilowatt hour, essentially, which is the wholesale rate of electricity. But Progress Energy is very aggressive and showing a lot of foresight as far as their adoption of solar. So definitely for those businesses, companies that are in the Progress Energy territory should look at solar very, very closely.
It's also, Bruce, you had mentioned the 30% tax credit is also available as a 30% grant instead of the tax credit. So if your company does not need to the federal tax credit, you can opt for the grant and actually get the cash back.
Which is excellent. Say you don't have the tax liability and you want to get the grant instead, that's 30% cash towards the cost of your system. So that's a great benefit also available to you. The last part of the presentation is these systems have all sorts of different types of monitoring. If you invest in a big solar electric system, you want to monitor it properly because it is a big investment. You want to make sure that it's performing the way it should be performing and alert you with any kind of operational maintenance situation that may arise. Typically that is not the case. Because there are no moving parts in these are virtually maintenance-free systems. But the other advantage with the monitoring system is that you can put this on your website as a dashboard, and your customers can see exactly real-time data of what XYZ company is doing as far as making their own electricity in a clean, renewable method. You can also project this into maybe your lobby on a monitor as well, so your customers coming into your lobby, they see what's going on real time with your solar electric system. Any other questions? Yes? But the estimated power generation from this size system would be about 117,000 kilowatt hours generated per year. Okay, so yeah, what you would have to do. Remember, if you are in Progress Energy, you're going to push all of that directly onto the grid. Essentially, you are bypassing the building, and you're sending it all onto the grid. The reason being is you want to sell all of this at 18 cents a kilowatt hour. That's your advantage. Your advantage in that scenario is not to use it, but to sell it. And you would have to get an understanding of what the building's consumption is. So that would be, a conversation with your power company and getting them to send you a year's worth of data. And that year's worth of data will be a roller coaster because you're going to have high consumption months and lower consumption months. But that year's worth of data is what you want to look at in kilowatt hours. Kim?
I think, to put it in perspective, he alluded to how many houses would a 100 kW system power up on average. So what would that be?
Well, that would be That would be tricky to answer too, because again, it's based on consumption. You could have a home that's 2,000 square feet using X amount, and the same home, identical layout, using double that. And the reason being is all depends on what's going on in the house. If one of those houses has a couple of thousand TVs and 5 or 6 computers that stay on 24/7, and maybe 3 or 4 teenagers that don't turn the lights off, their power consumption is going to be very different in the same size house where you've got just a couple there who are very energy efficient and energy conscious. So it all depends on the consumption within that house. So it's very difficult to say, well, this will power this house or this amount will power that house. The residential system typically is in the size between 3 kW and a 10 kW size. We never, on any customer, whether it's a residential customer or a commercial customer, get them thinking towards 100% offset of their consumption. The reason being is that requires a great deal of square footage. And in most scenarios, for instance, a house simply does not have that available unshaded square footage to accommodate a system that would provide 100% of their electricity. We typically encourage both homes and businesses think more modest terms, between 20% and 50% at the height.